Trickster, and welcome back to another tutorial about Ark Survival Ascended modding in the dev kit. Today I'm going to be attempting to demonstrate how to set up configuration for your server owners within your mod to give different options. So if you have a variable, say like a speed or a number of items or something like that that you want to be configurable by your server owners, you want to give them options. It's always best to give options. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This has also been requested by quite a few people for a video, so I'm going to go ahead and do it today. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible, but I'm going to also keep it um, as simple as I possibly can for anybody that is not used to any kind of blueprinting or any kind of graphing, as some people might say, within Unreal Engine. So before I get into that, I want to say that I apologize for not putting out another video sooner. I have been sick, and then I got really busy making another mod, the reinforced structures mod. I ended up making about 50 different pieces, structure pieces, that all have higher weight and better resistance to different explosive weaponry and different things like that. So this is a little bit higher tier than metal. Anyway, regardless, if you want to check that mod out or want to check out any of my other mods or any of my upcoming mods, anything that I'm working on, I'm an open book. I put it all in Discord, in my Discord server, which is going to be linked in the description. Come on in, say hi, check everything out, give suggestions for mods, give suggestions for videos, anything you want. Come talk to me. I'll hang out in the voice chat. Come talk to me anytime you want. Um, with that being said, I'm going to dive right in here. And if you remember the last couple of videos, if you watched those, I made a storage mod. So today I'm going to piggyback off of that same mod since we've already got it created, and I'm going to change some settings around about that mod. So the first thing that we want to do when we come into, once we open up the dev kit and we're into our little gray box world, um, we want to go to user generated content, or UGC, at the very top. Click on that, and you want to go to enable mods. You want to make sure that the mod that you are wanting to work on is enabled. So this checkbox, we're good to go. Click somewhere in the world and hit Control and Spacebar to bring up your mod folder. So here's my folder, and you want to make sure that you are on the correct map. So you want to go ahead and just double click on the test map that's in your folder if you've already got one. If you are starting from scratch and you're setting up a mod for the first time, and this is the first time that you're adding any kind of graphing or anything to it, then you want to make sure that you're on that map, because that map that's given in the template is tied into your primal game data BP, which is tied into your mod data asset uh, blueprint, and which has everything else tied into it. So the template does a good job of tying it all together so you don't have to. They try to make it dummy proof. Um, Sometimes the template doesn't work right, but I just want to make sure that I'm on the correct map every time when I load in. So as soon as this loads up, we're going to make one more quick check to make sure that everything is set up for us properly. And we're going to do that by going to World Settings on the right hand side. And we're in the search bar, we're going to hit Game, type Game Data, Data, not Date. And we're going to make sure that it is set to Primal Game Data underscore BP underscore Ultra Mega Storage, which mine is, or whatever name of your mod is. So mine happens to be Ultra Mega Storage. Yours could be whatever, but it needs to say Primal Game Data underscore BP underscore your mod name. So that's needs to be there, or your mod, anything you try to place in the world just won't work. So for testing purposes, that's what that's for. So now I'm going to hit Control Space. I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to open up my small storage box, my Ultra Mega small storage box, and I want to focus on a couple things here. So I'm going to click on the inventory down here at the bottom of my components list, and in my inventory, I'm going to type in the details panel of my inventory. I'm going to type max for max inventory items. So this is 500 is the max amount of items that we can have in our storage box currently. I want to allow players, or server owners rather, to be able to adjust that number right there. So first thing we're going to need to do is we need to make a variable. So down here in under My Blueprints tab, we're going to go to variables. We're going to click the plus button, and we're going to type, it's going to say small storage max inventory. Oh my goodness, can't type. Inventory capacity. I know it's a long name, but I like to make sure that my variable names are exactly what I expect them to be. So this is going to be the name of the command line that the server owners will put into their INI file. So then you can either do this one of two ways. You can go over here to the variable tab on the details panel, or you can click it right here. I'm going to do it up here, and I'm going to click the drop down, and I want to make that an integer. Okay, an integer is a whole number, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The other number variation would be a float, but a float is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, anything after anything that has a decimal point and numbers after it that you want to float its way to the next whole number. That's kind of how I remember that one. So you want to set that as an integer, and then you want to hit compile. Now, just a quick tip and trick here: whenever I set up a new project in Unreal Engine, I go to this three dots right here next to compile, and I go to save on compile, and I click on success only. You might hear, if you watch some other tutorial videos, you might hear them say compile and save. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like the extra click, so I just click compile once, and it also saves for me. So now we're going to get into our graph. Okay, so this is where I'm going to give myself a little extra room here because I don't need all this, and I want to make sure that you guys can see what it is that I'm doing. So I'm holding down the right mouse button and I'm moving around. So you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel and right mouse button to move around. So right off the bat, we're going to right click in here, and it's going to bring up our just different actions that you can search for to use. And we want to type begin play. So the event begin play is what we need. And now this says that whenever this item is placed in the world, and it basically like it's spawned in and is placed and becomes a thing, then anything after this event gets triggered. However, we have a parent class in the top right here, so anytime that this could be a child or anything like that, it's always a good idea to right click on it and go to add call to parent function. So what we're doing there is we're bringing this in and making sure that anything that is on this structure item container base blueprint is also going to be running in the background, and we're going to get all that same functionality, and that includes things like just different functionality that a container could have. So it could be any number of things, but it's good practice to bring in that call to parent function. So then this is me habit, because I'm OCD like this. I don't like it being crooked. You see how it's just slightly off. I don't like that. So I select them both and I hit the Q key and it lines them up. Okay. Anyway, next thing we need to make sure is that this structure is actually placed in the world. We don't want any of this action to happen if it's still in preview mode, that little green or red hologram that you place. So in order to do that, we right click and we're going to type is preview structure. So we're typing get is preview structure. Well, I typed is pre, so it brought up, whoops, I typed is pre and I brought up get is preview structure. So that's what we want. And off of that, you can pull off of that and you can type branch, or you can just hold down the B key and click anywhere in the graph and you can connect it. Now, branch is just saying that we're going to check this boolean, which a boolean is either yes or no, true or false. That's it. And you can see here that the default state, default value of this boolean is false. If you hover over it, it'll tell you. And unchecked is always going to be false. Checked is going to be true. So the default state is false. So we're saying, is this a preview structure? No, it is not. We don't want it to be. So anything that happens next needs to come off with a false. If you wanted to have something happen while it's in preview structure, you'd come off with a true. Okay. pretty simple if-then statement, basically. Now this is where there's some replication stuff going to happen here. I don't really know how to explain this very well, other than we're trying to see just trying to see who has the authority, the authority to do stuff. Either has authority or it's a remote client to the server. So we want to come off of the authority. So this is a must. I'll do some more research and maybe do another video if you guys want me to. Just let me know in the comments. But then from here we want to get the get game mode, and we'll bring that up. And then off of the return value of the game mode, we're going to drag this pin out. We're going to say cast to shooter game mode, and that is what we want right there. And then we want to pull off of it does have authority. So basically what this is saying is switch when this has authorities or when it's a remote. In this case, we want it to say you have authority to do all this stuff. So coming off of that, we're getting the shooter game mode. This is basically saying, okay, so now we're in the game mode. This is what we want. And then off of here, we're going to type get float option INI right there. And if you pull it off of the blue pin, when you type it, it'll automatically connect the execution pin up here. If it does not, go ahead and connect those. You want to make sure those are connected. Now, so remember our variable that we made down here. So this is what we're going to put. We're going to copy this name and we're going to put this in the option name. And then the section, I just like this to be the name of my mod. So what this is when you're looking at the game user settings.ini, or either of them really, there's always a heading, and at the very top you might remember seeing shooter game mode at the very top if you've ever messed with the settings, like say on Nitrado or anything like that, any other server settings. But there's always a heading, and the heading is in square brackets. And oh geez, where'd it go? Oh, that's right, I have it right here. Okay, so up here, see it says shooter game user settings. Shooter game is the heading here. So this is basically like where we're starting, but it has to be in these square brackets. So when you go to make your section, you don't put the square brackets here, but it's going to search for anything that's in those square brackets. That's how you're telling the code to look for it. So you're saying look for this, and then the server owner has to put it in those brackets. And then right after that's going to be this small storage max inventory capacity equals some number. Okay, so that's where this return value comes in. This is what they've typed in as some number. So we don't want them to be able to basically make this any larger than what it was, what a normal storage box is, because it just really kind of negates the whole point for me anyway. It doesn't make any sense. So a normal small storage box has 15 inventory slots. Okay, so I skipped ahead. I'm sorry, I go quickly. So I drag out of the return value and I hit greater than or equal, and I select greater or equal. And then over here I'm going to click B and bring in another branch, and I'm going to connect these two in here. And this is going to be basically saying that if so long as they're and then in the bottom number here you type your 15 slots. So this is saying that whatever the server owner puts in as their option, if it's greater than or equal to 15, then we're going to continue on. If it's anything less than 15, we're just not going to do anything. It's basically that's the bottom number. Like that's the lowest they can go is 15. Because otherwise you're just, why even have the mod? You know, it just doesn't make any sense at that point. So now we're going to take our variable that we made and we're going to drag it out here and we're going to set the number. So this is where we want to set, if off of true. We want to set the number that comes off of that the server owner put in. Okay, does that make sense? I hope so. Uh, so server owner puts in, say, 100, and this truncates it. Even if they put 100.5, you can't have a point 0.5 of a slot, so it truncates it down to 100, and it's going to set that variable number to that. However, that's just setting our variable. Our variable has absolutely nothing to do with setting the max number over here. Remember? So this is still going to be 500. So in order to get that in there, we have to we have to grab our inventory, and we have to pull our inventory over and drag it out, and then we have to pull off of our inventory there, and we say max in, can't type, max inventory items, and we want to set this. So we want to scroll down till we find set max inventory items. There we go. One thing I forgot to do that I want to do prior to going any further here is remember what our max is currently. It's our default, right? So that's what when somebody downloads the mod, if they don't make any changes, we want that to be 500. If they come in here and they type things wrong, like it's, let's say they type negative 420 for some reason, we don't have a false, but we basically don't want it to do anything. Just to be on the safe side, I set this value, this default value of this variable to whatever the max value is on the inventory, so that if nothing happens, it's going to stay at 500. Otherwise, we're setting it to whatever the server owner put it as. So then we connect it up to transfer it over, and we have to connect this pin as well. And that basically says that anything coming from the server owner, whatever they type in, gets truncated to a whole number, gets stored as a variable here. If we want to use that variable later, we can. And then that variable gets transferred into the variable from the actual inventory right here. So that's it. That's all you got to do. And that will allow server owners to do what they need to do on their servers to be able to make whatever adjustments they want to make for your mod. So I'm going to pause it right here, and I'm going to jump over to my server, and I'm going to set these up, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So be right back. Okay, so this is my server, and this is the section tag that I mentioned before, Ultra Mega Storage in the square brackets, and then I have the two command lines, small storage max inventory capacity, and I set it to 300. If you remember, the small storage box was 500 by default, and then the wall vault max inventory capacity, I set that to 900. So the wall vault by default was at 1500. So here we are on my server, and let's place down one of the small storage boxes, and you can see that it's 300, so that worked. And let's put one of the wall vaults up here, and you can see that it's 900. So that's the code working. So there it is, and your server owners will be able to make the adjustments as they see fit to their servers, but they must stop the server first and then make that adjustment, and then they'll be able to see it on their server. Okay, and we're back. So I showed you the Ultra Mega storage, small storage box, but I also showed you the wall mounted vault. I made the adjustments there as well, but all I did is I copied the code from the storage box and brought it over, and then I just changed the option name in the get float option INI, and I changed the wall mount max there, and then I just realized that I didn't change it here, but I'm changing this lower range from 15 to the same size that a normal vault is, which is 350. and then I set the default to 1500 here and swap out just this inventory to the normal inventory. I hope that wasn't too fast, but it's all the same stuff I went over before. So once that's done, the way I got it on my servers, I just published it and then waited for it to be done and put it on my server and made some adjustments. So other than that, if you want to see how to publish a video or publish a mod or even an update, it's the same um, as publishing for the first time. You would go up here to UGC, you go to Share Mod, and you scroll down to Ultra Mega Storage, type in whatever change you're wanting to do, and then continue on. I don't want to publish this one because I just did. I don't want to send too many updates to anybody that has already downloaded it because that could start to upset some people, because every time they have to do an update, they have to shut down their server, update it, and then bring it all back up. So it's annoying. Um, so let's just go ahead and end it there. I hope to do more of these videos in the future. If there's anything you guys want to see, if it's within my power to do, my abilities, I should say, to do, I will show you. Um, the issue is there's still a lot that I don't know about the dev kit. I have no problem explaining things once I have a good grasp on it, but I'm not going to try to explain something that I'm not entirely 100% sure about myself. So ask away. I'll do my best. If I understand the topic, or if I can get a good understanding of the topic, I have no problem making a video of it. So that's it. If this helped you in any way at all, please consider subscribing. At the very least, like the video, share the video with friends, help me out as much as I can here, as much as you can here. And don't forget, join my Discord if you want to have, if you have any questions, you want to chat, you want to see what anything I have upcoming or any information about my mods as far as updates and other things like that go. So with that being said, that's it for this video, and thank you guys for watching. Until next time, again, I'm Mr. Trickster, and we'll see you later.